Picture this. You're at a lively dinner party. The kind where laughter bounces off the walls and the energy is electric. Then, she walks in. The room seems to pause. Heads turn. And for a moment, you're captivated. But is it her charm that's pulling you in? Or is it something else entirely? Some women light up a room with their presence, radiating warmth and authenticity. Others? Well, let's just say the light seems to flicker back on the moment they leave. Welcome to today's video, where we're diving deep into a topic that could save you time, energy, and a whole lot of heartache. We're talking about the 6 unmistakable signs of toxic women, traits you cannot afford to overlook. This isn't about pointing fingers or casting blame. It's about arming yourself with wisdom, clarity, and the kind of insight that helps you decide who gets a seat at your table and who's just there to swipe the bread. So, are you ready to sharpen your perspective and protect your peace? Let's jump in. Why this matters. Before we get to the first sign, let's set the stage. Life is too short to pour your energy into relationships that leave you drained, confused, or questioning your own worth. We've all met someone who seems perfect on the surface, charming, polished, maybe even magnetic, but beneath the surface, there's something off. Maybe it's a gut feeling you can't shake, or maybe it's a pattern you only notice after months of frustration. As the great philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. But I'd argue it also depends on the company you choose to keep. Not every smile is genuine, and not every hand you hold is meant to hold yours back. Recognizing these signs isn't about judgment, it's about protecting your peace and building a life surrounded by people who lift you up, not pull you down. So, let's break down these 6 red flags with real-world examples, practical insights, and a touch of Stoic wisdom to guide us. Ready? Let's start with the first sign. Sign number 1. She's always the victim. Imagine you're sitting across from her at a cozy coffee shop. The aroma of freshly brewed espresso fills the air, and she's telling you a story. It's gripping, emotional, and full of details that make your heart ache for her. Maybe it's about her ex who betrayed her trust, or her boss who sabotaged her career because he couldn't handle her brilliance. At first, you're hooked. You want to protect her, to be the one who finally treats her right. Her vulnerability feels raw, authentic, even refreshing. But then, the stories keep coming, and they all sound eerily similar. The first sign of a toxic woman is that she's always the victim. And I mean always. It doesn't matter if it's a random encounter at the grocery store, a falling out with her best friend of 2 decades, or the collapse of her last 3 relationships. In every tale she spins, she's the one who's been wronged, misunderstood, or unfairly treated. She paints herself as the innocent party caught in a world that's constantly out to get her. Let me tell you about Tom, a guy the first know who's as steady and kind as they come. After his divorce, Tom met a woman who seemed like a breath of fresh air. She was open, emotional, and quick to share her struggles. She told him how her ex had lied to her, how her boss held her back because he was intimidated by her strength, and how her family always favored her sister when they were growing up. Tom admired her resilience. He thought, here's someone who's been through so much but keeps going. But as the months went by, something shifted. The stories never stopped. Every coworker was toxic, every job ended unfairly, and every friendship fizzled out because of betrayal. Tom started to notice a pattern. No matter the situation, she was never at fault. If he gently suggested she might have played a role in a conflict, she'd turn it around on him. Suddenly, he was the one who didn't understand her, who wasn't supportive enough. Here's the truth. A woman who's perpetually the victim isn't just sharing her pain, she's wielding it like a weapon. It's a subtle but powerful form of control. By casting herself as the eternal underdog, she pulls you into her narrative. You become either her savior, constantly reassuring her she's right, or the villain when you dare to challenge her version of events. And trust me, that's a role you don't want to play. Why is this so dangerous? Because someone who refuses to take ownership of their actions will never grow. They'll rewrite every situation to fit their story, and if you get too close, you'll find yourself written into that script, often as the next person who let her down. It's a cycle that's as exhausting as it is predictable. Marcus Aurelius put it best: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this: and you will find strength. A woman trapped in victimhood surrenders that power. She lets life's circumstances dictate her emotions and expects everyone else to carry the weight of her struggles. Over time, she'll drain your energy, your patience, and, if you're not careful, your peace of mind. So, how do you spot this early? Pay attention to the patterns. Does every story end with her as the wronged party? Does she take responsibility for anything? If the answer is no, take a step back. You're not her rescuer, and you're not responsible for fixing her past. Protect your energy by recognizing this red flag for what it is. A warning sign that she's more interested in control than connection. What's next? We've only covered the first sign, but there's so much more to unpack. In the rest of this video, we'll dive into the other 5 signs of toxic women, traits like manipulation, inconsistency, and a lack of accountability that can wreak havoc on your life if you don't spot them early. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll have a crystal clear roadmap for recognizing who's worth your time and who's better left at the door. If you're finding this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more no-nonsense advice on navigating life and relationships. Drop a comment below. Have you ever dealt with someone who always played the victim? How did you handle it? Let's keep this conversation going. And now, let's move on to sign number 2. Stay tuned. We've just unpacked the first sign, her relentless victimhood. A trap that pulls you into her narrative while draining your energy. Now, let's keep the momentum going as we dive into the next 2 signs that scream. Protect your peace. Picture yourself stepping into a storm you didn't create. Can you feel the chaos creeping in? Let's explore how to spot it and, more importantly, how to stay grounded. Sign number 2. She's addicted to drama. Imagine a quiet evening at home. The kind where you're finally unwinding. Maybe sipping a coffee, the world feeling calm for once. Then, out of nowhere, she walks in, and it's like someone flipped a switch. Suddenly, the air crackles with tension. Maybe you didn't respond to her text fast enough, or you seemed distracted during her story. Before you know it, a simple moment spirals into an argument you didn't see coming. Welcome to the second sign. She's addicted to drama. This isn't about the occasional emotional flare-up. We're all human. And we all have our moments. No, this is about a woman whose life is a never-ending stage play. And she's the star, director, and scriptwriter all at once. If things get too peaceful, too stable, it's like she gets restless. She'll light a match and toss it into the calm just to feel the heat again. Why? Because to her, peace is dull. Stability? It's suffocating. Drama? That's where she thrives. You'll feel it in your gut before your eyes catch up. It starts small. Maybe she's upset because you didn't notice her new haircut or because you didn't jump in to defend her in a trivial argument with a friend. But those small sparks quickly ignite into full-blown conflicts. You're left explaining yourself, apologizing for things you don't fully grasp, and wondering how a quiet night turned into a battlefield. The kicker? While you're exhausted, she seems energized. That's the hallmark of someone who feeds on chaos. Let me paint a picture. I knew a guy, let's call him Mike, who dated a woman like this. Mike was laid back, the kind of guy who valued a drama-free life. But his girlfriend, Lisa, seemed to live for the next crisis. One day, they're at a friend's barbecue, laughing and enjoying the vibe. Then, out of nowhere, Lisa pulls Mike aside, upset because she thought he was ignoring her in front of everyone. What started as a minor misunderstanding turned into a 2-hour argument in the car on the way home. Mike spent the night trying to calm her down. But Lisa? She was practically glowing with the intensity of it all. Here's the thing. Drama isn't just a habit for her, it's a tool. It's how she keeps control. When the world spins around her emotions, she's at the center, and everyone else is scrambling to keep up. It's exhausting, disorienting, and, over time, it chips away at your peace. You start walking on eggshells, second-guessing every word, every action, just to avoid the next storm. And when you lose that inner stillness, you lose your power. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "An angry man opens his mouth and shuts his eyes." Swap man for woman here. And it fits perfectly. Someone addicted to drama isn't chasing truth or resolution. They're chasing the rush of power that comes with stirring emotions. Whether it's hers or yours, she's not looking for harmony, she's looking for stimulation. And if you're the closest person to her, you're the easiest target for that chaos. So, what do? You step back, not necessarily out the door, but emotionally. You stop jumping into the waves of her chaos. Observe, don't participate. As Epictetus taught us, you have power over your own mind, not the actions of others. The wisest response is often silence, space, and a refusal to play a role in her script. You're not here to be an actor in her drama. Your job is to stay grounded, steady, and free. Protect that peace at all costs. Sign number 3. She controls through guilt. Now, let's shift gears to a subtler but equally draining trait. Picture this. You're sitting across from her, and she's telling you how hurt she feels because you didn't call her last night. Your stomach twists, a heavy weight settles in your chest, and suddenly you're apologizing, even though you're not sure what you did wrong. Sound familiar? That's the third sign. She controls through guilt. Guilt is a powerful weapon. Studies show it lights up the same parts of your brain as physical pain. No wonder it feels like a punch to the gut. A toxic woman knows this, whether consciously or not, and she wields guilt like a master manipulator. It's not about resolving conflict or building a stronger connection. It's about keeping you on a leash, making you feel like you're always one step away from letting her down. Let's go back to Mike for a moment. After months of navigating Lisa's drama, he started noticing something else. Every time he tried to set a boundary, like needing a night to himself or not jumping into her latest crisis, she'd hit him with a guilt trip. "I thought you cared about me," she'd say, her voice soft but sharp. Or, "I guess I'm just not important enough." Suddenly, Mike felt like the bad guy for wanting a moment of peace. He'd cancel his plans, rush to her side, and spend hours reassuring her, only to realize the cycle never stopped. This is the danger of guilt as a tool of control. It's subtle, insidious, and incredibly effective. She might not yell or scream. She doesn't need to. A well-placed sigh, a disappointed glance, or a carefully worded jab can make you feel like you're failing her, even when you've done nothing wrong. Over time, you start molding your behavior to avoid that sinking feeling, losing pieces of yourself in the process. From a Stoic perspective, this is a clear violation of your inner freedom. You can't control how she feels or what she says, but you can control how you respond. The solution isn't to argue or explain yourself. That's just feeding the cycle. Instead, recognize the guilt for what it is, a tactic, not a reflection of your worth. Set firm boundaries, offer compassion, but don't let her emotions dictate your actions. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Hold on to that power. Imagine this. You're juggling a demanding week at work. Deadlines piling up like a house of cards ready to collapse. You tell her you need to cancel dinner plans to focus. And instead of understanding, she goes silent. Not the kind of silence that feels neutral, it's heavy, loaded, like a storm cloud hanging over you. Her eyes say it all. "I thought you were different. I thought I mattered." That's the third sign of a toxic woman. She controls through guilt. And she's a master at it. This isn't about loud arguments or overt demands. No, her approach is far subtler. And that's what makes it so dangerous. It starts innocently enough. Maybe she's upset because you chose to spend an evening catching up with an old friend instead of her. Or maybe you needed a quiet night to recharge. And she responds with a sigh, a glance, or a cold shoulder that feels heavier than words. You think she just needs a little reassurance. So you give in. You cancel your plans, rearrange your schedule, and bend your priorities to avoid that disappointed look in her eyes. Sound familiar? Here's a story to bring it home. My friend James, a guy who's always been steady and thoughtful, fell hard for a woman named Sarah. At first, her sensitivity seemed endearing. She'd share how much she valued their time together. And James felt like he was building something real. But then he started noticing a pattern. Every time he tried to carve out space for himself, like working late on a passion project or grabbing a beer with his buddies, Sarah would hit him with a guilt trip. "I guess I'm not a priority," she'd say softly, her voice dripping with just enough hurt to make James feel like the bad guy. He'd apologize, rearrange his life to make her feel better, and before he knew it, he was living for her approval, not his own values. The tricky part? You don't even realize it's happening until you've crossed your own boundaries. You start making decisions not based on what's right for you, but to avoid that sinking feeling in your chest. Guilt becomes her currency, and the more you pay, the more she demands. It's not always words, sometimes it's a calculated withdrawal of affection. A subtle shift in her tone, or that silence that screams louder than any argument. You find yourself explaining your choices instead of owning them. And slowly, you're no longer yourself, you're playing a role she's written for you. From a Stoic perspective, this is a direct attack on your freedom. Epictetus said it best, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When guilt drives your actions, you've handed over the reins. You're reacting, not choosing. You're appeasing, not living by your values. The solution isn't to argue or over-explain. That just fuels her control. Instead, it's about setting clear, unshakable boundaries. Offer compassion if it feels right, but only as far as it aligns with who you are. When she tries to pull those guilt strings, stay calm, stay resolved. A man grounded in his values is untouchable. No amount of guilt can take that away unless you let it. Sign number 4. She lacks empathy. Now, let's shift to a sign that hits hardest when life gets real. Picture yourself sitting on your couch, the weight of a brutal week pressing down on you. Maybe you just got bad news, a family member's health is failing, or your business took a hit. You open up to her, hoping for a moment of connection, but instead, she barely looks up from her phone. "That's tough," she says, before pivoting to something trivial, like her annoying coworker or a new outfit she's eyeing. That's the 4th sign. She lacks empathy. Life has a way of testing us all. Sooner or later, the road gets rough. Loss, stress, or unexpected setbacks remind us how fragile things can be. In those moments, you learn who's truly in your corner. A woman who lacks empathy. She won't be. She might show up physically, but it's out of obligation, not care. Her heart's not in it. And you'll feel it. It starts small, almost too subtle to notice at first. Maybe you share how exhausted you are after a grueling day, and she gives you a half-second glance before steering the conversation back to herself. Or maybe you muster the courage to open up about something personal, a fear, a loss, a moment of vulnerability, and she brushes it off like it's just another line in a casual chat. There's a distance there, a coldness you can't unfeel. It's not just that she doesn't understand, she doesn't want to. Let's go back to James for a moment. When his mom got sick, he was rattled. He turned to Sarah, hoping for support, but her response was a quick, "That's so sad," followed by a rant about her own day. James felt like he was shouting into a void. Over time, he noticed she only seemed engaged when the conversation was about her problems, her wins, her world. When it came to his struggles, she was checked out, like his pain was an inconvenience. This lack of empathy is a glaring red flag. Why? Because relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or otherwise, thrive on mutual care. A woman who can't step outside her own perspective to meet you in yours isn't building a connection, she's performing one. And when life's storms hit, you'll find yourself standing alone, wondering why you poured so much into someone who gives so little back. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our actions, our responses, our values. You can't force someone to care, but you can choose who you invest in. Pay attention to those moments when you need her to show up emotionally. Does she lean in, or does she look away? The answer will tell you everything you need to know. Picture this. You're sitting across from her, your heart heavy with something real, a loss, a tough day, or just the weight of life pressing down. You open up, hoping for a moment of connection, someone to sit with you in the quiet and truly see you. But instead, she fidgets, changes the subject, or tosses out a quick, "That's rough," before pivoting to her own world. That's the 4th sign in full force. A woman who lacks empathy leaves you lonelier than if you were standing alone. Let me tell you about a man I know, someone I deeply respect, who learned this the hard way. After losing his wife, he started dating a woman named Claire. At first, she seemed like a lifeline, supportive, attentive, full of kind words, but when his grief hit hardest, when he needed someone to just be there, Claire couldn't handle it. She'd get restless, almost irritated, when he talked about his pain. One night, he poured his heart out about missing his wife. And Claire barely looked up from her phone. "You'll feel better soon," she said, before launching into a story about her stressful week. He realized then that he felt more alone with her than he did in his quiet moments of solitude. That's the sting of someone without empathy. It's not just that they don't understand your pain, they don't care to try. You'll notice it in the small moments first. You share how exhausted you are. And she brushes it off to talk about her new coworker drama. Or you open up about something personal, something that took courage to say. And she responds with a distracted nod or a quick subject change. It's like shouting into a void, and the echo comes back empty. Can you feel that distance? It's not in your head, it's real. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." But let's add a twist. Waste no more time hoping someone will become what they're not. Empathy isn't a skill you can teach or a switch you can flip. It's either there, woven into their character, or it's not. An empathetic partner doesn't need to fix your problems or have all the answers. Sometimes, it's just their steady presence, calm, sincere, grounded. That reminds you you're not alone. But a woman without empathy? She can be right next to you, and you'll still feel miles apart. Stoicism teaches us to accept reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. If she can't meet you with compassion when life gets heavy, she's not built for the storms ahead. The solution isn't to demand more from her or to keep making excuses for her distance. It's to choose differently, walk away, not out of anger, but with the clarity that your time and heart deserve someone who listens with more than their ears. Life's too short to invest in someone who can't meet you halfway. Sign number 5. She's obsessed with superficial things. Now, let's shift to a sign that might seem harmless at first but can drain the life out of you over time. Picture yourself at a fancy restaurant. The kind with overpriced wine and too many forks. She's across from you, scrolling through her phone, fixating on the likes piling up on her latest post. The conversation isn't about dreams or ideas, it's about the brand of her shoes, the square footage of her friend's new house, or how many heads turned when she walked in. Welcome to the 5th sign. She's obsessed with superficial things. This isn't about enjoying nice things. Who doesn't appreciate a sleek car or a sharp outfit now and then? No, this is about a woman whose entire sense of worth is tied to appearances. Her life revolves around the external, the designer bag, the Instagram aesthetic, the status symbols that scream, "Look at me." It's not just that she wants these things, she measures her value. And yours, by them. You start to feel like you're in a never-ending competition, judged not by who you are but by what you can show off. Let's bring it to life with a story. My friend Alex dated a woman, Mia, who seemed to have it all together, polished, confident, always dressed to impress. At first, Alex thought her focus on appearances was just a quirk. But as months passed, he noticed it went deeper. Mia was obsessed with keeping up with her social circle. If a friend got a new car, she'd push Alex to upgrade his reliable truck to something flashier. If her influencer page didn't get enough likes, she'd spiral into a funk, snapping at him for not engaging enough online. Alex started feeling like a prop in her curated life, judged by his paycheck or the brand of his watch rather than his character. Here's why this matters. Her obsession with the superficial isn't just about things, it's about what they represent. Status, approval, being better than the next person. She's not chasing contentment, she's chasing a fleeting high that fades the moment the next shiny thing comes along. You'll find yourself caught in a cycle where nothing you do is enough. Because someone, somewhere, always has more. Ever felt like you're running a race with no finish line? That's what it's like. The Stoics saw through this trap centuries ago. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." A woman obsessed with appearances is never satisfied. No matter how much she has, a bigger house, a fancier car, more followers, it's like pouring water into a cracked jar. It leaks out, and she's left craving more. That emptiness doesn't just affect her, it pulls you in, too, making you feel like you're failing if you can't keep up with her endless chase. So, what's the way out? Recognize the cycle for what it is. You're not here to fuel her need for external validation. Focus on what matters, your values, your purpose, the things that hold real weight. If her world revolves around superficial markers, let her chase them alone. A Stoic man builds his life on what lasts, not what shines. Picture yourself at a friend's wedding. The kind where the music's flowing, the dance floor's alive, and everyone's caught up in the moment. But she's not there, not really. She's fixated on snapping the perfect photo for her socials, checking how her dress compares to the other guests, or whispering about the couple's choice of venue. That's the fifth sign in full force. A woman obsessed with superficial things, where appearances trump everything else. This isn't about enjoying a nice outfit or a well-decorated home. Those are human joys we all share. No, this is about someone whose entire sense of worth is tied to the external, the brand on the bag, the follower count, the envy in other people's eyes. Her world revolves around what can be seen, shown off, or measured against others. And if you're with her, you'll feel it. Like you're not a partner but a contestant in a race you never signed up for. Ever wonder what it's like to live under a spotlight that never dims? That's her life, and she'll pull you into it. Take my friend Ryan's story. He dated a woman named Lauren who seemed to have it all: style, charm, a curated Instagram that screamed success. At first, Ryan thought her focus on appearances was just a quirk. She loved nice things, and who doesn't? But then it got deeper. Lauren would push him to upgrade his wardrobe to match her aesthetic, criticize his reliable old car because it wasn't flashy enough, and even get upset when he didn't post enough about their relationship online. Ryan started feeling like he was failing her, not because he wasn't a good partner, but because he couldn't keep up with her endless need for external validation. Here's the truth. Her obsession isn't just about things, it's about what they represent. Status, approval, being better than the next person. She's not chasing happiness. She's chasing a fleeting high that vanishes the moment something shinier comes along. And no matter what you do, whether you're earning 6 figures or 7, driving a truck or a Tesla, it's never enough. Because her broken jar of contentment leaks faster than you can fill it. The Stoics nailed this one over 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius called externals things indifferent, meaning they don't define your worth or add to your character. Seneca put it even sharper. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor. A woman obsessed with the superficial is the poorest kind of companion because she'll never find peace, and she'll drag you away from yours if you try to keep up. Your energy, your dignity, your clarity, they'll all be spent chasing shadows that don't matter. So, what's the move? Walk away, not in bitterness, but in wisdom. A Stoic man guards his peace above all else, knowing that true wealth lies in character, not possessions. If her world is built on how things look instead of how they truly are, let her chase that mirage alone. You deserve a life rooted in substance, not surface. Sign number 6. She can't admit she's wrong. Now, let's close with a sign that shows up in the smallest moments but carries the biggest weight. Picture a simple disagreement. Maybe you're discussing plans for the weekend, and she insists on a detail that's clearly off. You lay out the facts calmly, maybe even pull up proof. But instead of conceding, she doubles down. Suddenly, the conversation isn't about the plans anymore. It's about how you're attacking her, always making her feel bad. That's the 6th sign. She can't admit she's wrong. Ever. This isn't about occasional stubbornness. We all have moments of pride. No. This is a woman who will twist reality itself to avoid being at fault. You could present evidence as clear as day. Explain your side with the patience of a saint, and she'll still find a way to make herself right. If facts don't work, she'll shift the ground beneath you. Suddenly, it's about how you made her feel, or how you're questioning her character. The original point? Buried under an avalanche of emotional deflection. Let's bring it to life. My friend Mark dated a woman, Emily, who seemed confident and sharp. But every disagreement, no matter how small, turned into a battle. Once, they argued about a restaurant reservation time. Mark showed her the confirmation email proving he was right. But Emily refused to back down. Instead, she accused him of always needing to be right and stormed off, leaving him stunned. Over time, Mark realized this wasn't a one-off. Whether it was a misstep at work, a hurtful comment she made, or a simple mistake, Emily would defend it to the end, as if admitting fault was a personal attack. Why is this such a red flag? Psychologically, people who can't admit they're wrong often have a fragile sense of self. Being wrong feels like a threat to their identity, so they fight tooth and nail to protect it. But here's the cost: they sacrifice growth, trust, and connection. A person who can't own their mistakes can't learn from them, and a person who can't learn can't grow. You'll find yourself carrying the weight of every disagreement, always the one to compromise, always the one to keep the peace. Ever felt like you're the only adult in the room? That's what this feels like. Marcus Aurelius had this one figured out: if anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after. That's the mark of wisdom, embracing correction as a chance to grow, not a blow to the ego. A woman who rejects this principle turns every interaction into a power struggle, where being right matters more than being real. Over time, you'll feel exhausted, isolated, and like your perspective is always under attack. The Stoic solution? Don't fight to prove you're right. Focus on what you can control: your response. Set boundaries, stay calm, and refuse to get dragged into her need to win. A relationship should be about connection, not control. If she can't meet you in the truth, it's time to walk away, not out of anger, but because you value your peace and growth too much to stay. We've just uncovered how a refusal to admit fault can turn a relationship into a battlefield of pride, robbing you of growth and connection. Now, let's wrap up this journey with the final sign, one that hits at the core of your most precious resource. Imagine watching the hours slip away, waiting for someone who doesn't value what you can never get back. Ready to protect your peace and reclaim your time? Let's dive into the last sign with clarity and purpose. Picture this. You're in the middle of a simple conversation, maybe about where to eat dinner or who said what in a recent argument. The facts are clear. You've got receipts, logic, even a calm tone. But instead of a nod or a "my bad," she doubles down, twisting the narrative until you're the one questioning reality. That's the sixth sign in full force. A woman who can't admit she's wrong, no matter how obvious the truth. This isn't just about stubbornness or a bad day. It's a pattern that reveals itself in every disagreement, big or small. You lay out your case with reason, maybe you even show proof, like a text or an email, but she deflects. Suddenly, it's not about the facts anymore, it's about how you're making her feel, or always criticizing. The point gets buried under an avalanche of excuses, and you're left exhausted, wondering how a simple discussion turned into a war. Ever felt like you're arguing with a brick wall? That's what this is. Let me tell you about Jake, a guy the first know who's as level-headed as they come. He dated a woman named Vanessa who seemed confident and articulate until they disagreed. One night, they got into it over something trivial, a mix-up about weekend plans. Jake showed her the calendar invite proving he'd told her the right date. But Vanessa wouldn't budge. Instead, she accused him of always trying to prove her wrong, turning the conversation into a personal attack. Over time, Jake noticed this was her go-to move. Every mistake, every misstep, was defended to the death. Admitting fault seemed to terrify her, as if it would unravel her entire sense of self. Here's why this is so dangerous. Someone who can't say, "I was wrong," isn't just protecting their pride, they're walling themselves off from growth. Psychologically, this often stems from a fragile ego, where admitting fault feels like a threat to their identity. But by making being right the goal, they sacrifice something far greater: trust, connection, and the chance to evolve. A person who can't own their mistakes can't learn from them, and a person who can't learn can't grow. You'll end up carrying the emotional weight of every conflict, always the one to compromise, always the one chasing harmony in a relationship that feels more like a competition. Marcus Aurelius said it best: if anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after. That's the heart of wisdom, embracing correction as a path to growth, not a blow to the ego. A woman who rejects this principle turns every interaction into a power struggle, leaving you drained and isolated. The Stoic solution? Choose humility and truth for yourself, and seek a partner who does the same, not because she's perfect, but because she's brave enough to admit when she's not. If she can't offer that, walk away, not in anger, but in respect for the life of clarity and peace you're building. Life's too short to spend keeping score. Sign number 7. She disrespects your time. Now, let's move to a sign that cuts deep because it targets something you can never replace. Picture yourself sitting at a restaurant. The clock ticking past the agreed upon time. Your coffee gone cold as you check your phone again. She's late, again, or maybe she cancels at the last second with a vague excuse. That's the 7th sign. A woman who disrespects your time. Treating it like it's hers to waste. Time is the one currency you can't earn back. Money, you can hustle for. Health, you can fight for. But time? Once it's gone forever. A woman who doesn't value your time isn't just careless, she's dangerous to your peace. She steals hours, days, even years in small, silent ways that add up before you realize it. It's not just about being late, it's about the message it sends. Your priorities. Your life don't matter as much as hers. Let me paint a picture with a story. Richard, a contractor I worked with in Houston, was a man who'd built a successful life from the ground up, sharp, disciplined, the kind of guy everyone respected. But in his personal life, he was stuck. He started dating Elise, a woman who charmed him with her warmth and energy. At first, everything seemed great, but then the pattern emerged. Elise was always late, 20 minutes, then 40, then an hour. She'd cancel plans last minute because she wasn't feeling it, or something came up. Sometimes, she'd forget their plans altogether. Richard, patient as he was, brushed it off. Life gets busy, he thought. I'll be understanding. But months passed, and Richard found himself rearranging his life around her. He'd shift his work schedule to fit her whims, sit alone at restaurants waiting for her to show, and even cancel fishing trips with his buddies because Elise said she really needed to see him, only for her to bail without a second thought. One afternoon, I saw him staring at his phone, his face heavy with frustration after another no-show. "Man," he said, shaking his head, "I feel like I'm always waiting." That's the trap. When someone disrespects your time, they keep you waiting, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, always on edge, always hoping they'll show up. Seneca hit the nail on the head. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Elise wasn't just busy or forgetful, she didn't value Richard's time because, deep down, she didn't value him. And the hardest truth? Richard allowed it by not valuing his own time first. A woman who disrespects your time makes you feel like you need to be more patient, more understanding, as if her behavior is normal. But a Stoic man knows better. Your time is your life, and every moment you give away carelessly is a piece of yourself you'll never reclaim. So, what's the solution? It's not about ultimatums or arguments, that's just more wasted energy. It's about clarity. Respect your own time first. Set boundaries that reflect its worth. If she can't honor that, let her go, not out of spite, but because you know your life deserves better. A Stoic man builds his days on purpose, not on waiting for someone who doesn't show up. There you have it. 6 signs, and a bonus 7th, to help you spot the women who threaten your peace. From victimhood to disrespecting your time, these red flags are your guide to protecting your clarity and building a life rooted in wisdom. If this resonated, drop a comment below. Have you ever felt your time being taken for granted? How did you take it back? Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more straight talk advice on living with purpose. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.